Hey, welcome everyone. My name is JR. I'm the founder and owner of Business Leaders Network, and today we're on another roundtable interview where I brought in some experts and speakers on their specific topics what they do, and excited about being able to share what they do, what they're making impact they're making in the world, and that way we can bring some more value to you guys. So, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks
Thank
for having
you.
us.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to
Thank
start
you,
with,
JR.
yeah, thank you. Well, I'm going to start with Laura with the first question. And so, Laura, the first question I like to ask is tell the audience who you are, what you do, and what inspired you to get started doing what you're doing.
I appreciate you asking me to go first. It's always fun to be first. So, I'm Laura Templeton with 30 Second Success. I inspire purpose driven business owners and professionals to really dig into their brand communications, be able to communicate more effectively to attract the clients and the opportunities that they are looking to bring into their sphere. So, what inspired me to do this? I started out with the company 30 Second Success, really helping people who were struggling to communicate in that 30-second window for networking what they do in 30 seconds or less. So I started helping people with their brand messaging, and it just blossomed from there, helping people dive into their brand communications from an overall holistic perspective for their businesses.
I love that. And we talked a couple years ago about this, and I can't remember if that's when you were kicking it off and starting it, but how long have you been doing the 30-second success?
This is my 10th year for 30 Second Success. So I think you and I spoke probably about 5 years ago,
Oh, wow.
right around the time I was launching my first book, 30 Second Success, Ditch the Pitch and Start Connecting.
Wow, time flies. I didn't realize it was that long, but yeah, it could have easily been that long. So cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. Shiraz, same question. Tell us more about who you are, what you do, and what inspired you to get started.
I am a reality interventionist, which means I get you out of addiction to your current life, whether that's lack, struggle, working hard all the time, and get you addicted to more success, more money, more happiness. And what got me doing this is I was a transformational coach and I was working with a client who was having problems all the time. And I asked him, "Are you a problem solver?" He goes, "Hell yes, I'm a problem solver." And I said, "So what is a problem solver after creating his life every day to feel valuable?" He's like, "Oh crap, problems." So we shifted his belief around that he's not a problem solver as an identity. Problem solving is a tool that he can do. It's a skill. And when that happened, all the problems went away.
Hmm.
And I let him go on his merry way. He was really happy. And then he calls me 3 weeks later and he goes, "I got problems." And I'm like, "You sound really happy about that." And he goes, "Well, yeah, the first week there were no problems and it was great. And the second week I was like, well, I'm used to problems. When's the shoe going to drop?" And by this week I've been full on anxiety. And I went, "You're describing withdrawal." And then I looked into it, and every time he solved a problem, he got a hit of dopamine. And now he was without dopamine and his body was in withdrawal. And then I realized we're actually addicted to our current circumstances, good or bad.
Hmm.
And when you get out of the addiction, your whole life can change. You can get addicted to better things. And that's why I do what I do.
How long have you been doing this?
12 years. Well, actually, the addiction part was 8 years ago is when I had that conversation. So,
Very cool. I love it. Well, congratulations. Same question for you, Kate. Tell us more about who you are, what you do, and what inspired you to get started.
My name is Kate Prieto, and my husband and I own an HVAC company in Oklahoma City metro area. We do residential and light commercial work. We opened in 2022, and what brought us here is my husband had been in HVAC for a while, and he was coming up eligible to test for his contractor's license, and he knew he wanted to start his own business, but he didn't have an exact plan for how or when to do it. I just separated the military and I was working a corporate 9 to 5, and uh, we had 3 small children, and I knew I wanted to homeschool, but I wasn't going to be able to do it with all the traveling. And we were both not from Oklahoma originally, with me coming here through the military, and he had ended up growing up a lot in Oklahoma, but we didn't really have that big of networks when we got here. So we wanted to be more involved in the community too, and nothing really seeps you deeper into the community than entrepreneurship. So we decided to start our own company and give it a go, and all the pieces have fallen into place, and it's been a blessing.
Cool. I didn't realize you were a veteran as well, so thank you so much for your service. I really appreciate that. And you homeschool, so we got 4 kids that we homeschool full time as well. So I love it. No, big joy for what we do, and absolutely love it. How long you been doing what you're doing?
Well, as far as the company opened in 2022, but uh, gosh, you guys know just as well as anybody that all the tools that are in my toolbox come from a lifetimes of work. Before I was doing HVAC in the company, I was doing cybersecurity consultant work for a while in the corporate world.
Very cool. Well, congratulations. Paul, same question. Tell us more about who you are, what you do, and what inspired you to get started.
I write and sell books on Amazon. I write articles to promote them. I also speak at 2 to 3 conferences per year. I played hockey in high school, and I my team was always kind of in the middle of the league, and there were two teams that were always 1 and 2. And it got me wondering, what makes these teams so great? What do these coaches do differently than my coach? And that kind of got me interested in this whole idea of what do the best coaches, teachers, leaders do to bring out the best in people. And then in college, I had a great teacher, Paul Hersey and Ken Blanchard, and they further stimulated me to study and learn as much as I could about leadership. So that's what I've been doing for really my whole career. I spent 20 years in corporate America and 20 years as a college teacher, so I've done that as well.
Very good. Love that. Well, my name is JR. I'm the founder of Business Leaders Network, and I help small business owners by leveraging micro one-day events to generate leads, close more sales, but also increase retention in their business through these micro in-person experiences. And I got inspired by doing it because when I got out of the military in 2007, I owned a martial arts school, hired a coach, and my coach taught me how to launch events as well and hosted my very first event. I was horrible in business, great at teaching and what I did, but I didn't know how to build a business. And so he showed me how to create offers. He showed me how to do events. He showed me how to sell to a group, to many instead of just one on one. And that first event that I hosted changed my life. I closed more than $270,000 in that one day, that
Wow.
one event. And ever since then, I've been doing events to build my businesses. And then I made this my core offer in 2000 or about 2 years ago for what I do. But I've been teaching other businesses how to do it for a long, for many years since 2016 on doing events. And it's my one true way that I go to for everything that I need to do to grow my business. And so what inspired me to teach one day events is, because it changed my life on what I'm doing through martial arts, through fitness, through an advertising agency, through my consulting and coaching business, as an author, speaker, coach, through anything, and been able to help a lot of other entrepreneurs do the same thing. So I'm a believer that it doesn't matter what industry you're in, all of us can host an event to help us generate leads, close more sales, as well as increase retention inside of our community. So that's what I do. So next question that we're going to go to, I'm going to start with you, Kate, and the question is, what is your 2026 business growth strategies? What are you going to be focusing on to help you guys grow your business?
Well, I have like this I've actually been working on it a lot this week, so I'm glad that it's coming up. But I have these three pillars that I'm working on is how I broke it down. And I have my internal team, our growth. So we're getting back to the basics with some training. We are revamping things like utilizing our CRMs to their full potential, going back and filling in gaps in our sales process and our sales funnel. Another pillar is we do residential. And I have found a lot of success in mom Facebook groups. So there are a lot of women only Facebook groups in my area, a lot. And there's some just for business owners, there's just some just for moms, there's some just for women. And I've subscribed to a handful of directories, and we've been putting a lot of energy into our engagement and our posting. And what ends up happening is I build these relationships, and it takes time, of course, but I end up getting tagged a lot. Every time someone makes a Facebook post saying, "Does anyone know a good HVAC person who can come help me out? My heater stopped working." I get tagged a crazy amount of times, and I'm so grateful. And it's from the women, in my opinion, in today's day and age, they are a lot of times the ones doing the research for what companies are going to be used or vetting them. And I'm getting directly to them. And because I'm an HVAC company and there's not a lot of women in the trades, there's not a lot of other companies doing that, which means there's not a lot of competition in that space to do that. So that's one strategy that's ultra specific, that's been really good for us. Something that I've been trying out, so the third pillar is commercial. Commercial is I want to be more in front of commercial business owners, commercial real estate agents, commercial property management companies, commercial builders. And I've tried a couple different strategies that I don't feel like were had like that maximum ROI in my time. So I am looking into a couple different organizations that aren't a contractor specific because last year I tried contractor specific groups. This one is more commercial real estate organizations or advocates or vendors for apartment complexes. There's organizations specifically just for vendors who work under uh, the commercial community. So I'm gonna be looking more into those and trying to spend my time here and there and see what comes back and trying to refine it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So there was you'll be able to relate to this a little bit probably, Kate. So long time ago, there was a military Marine recruiter that I was speaking to, and he like when he's training other recruiters on where to find their perfect client, their perfect avatars, like you got to go where they're at because he was having his team and the other recruiters that were going to like bars or restaurants and trying to find and recruit people there. And he's like, no, you got to go to the schools. You got to go to the schools because that's where they're hanging out. That's where they're at, and they're trying to figure out what's next after they graduate. And so the fact that you're leveraging the different communities and groups and where they're at, that's a beautiful thing. But we always got to ask ourselves, where's our perfect client hanging out at? Where are they at, and where can they go to? So I also want to say is like it's so funny that you mentioned that women are the ones that make the decision, do the research, because like we had our hot water heater go out recently at our house, and I kind of put it on my wife. I was like, well, go find someone. So she got 4 different quotes that come in and being able to do it, but I didn't have the time to do it. So she was the one that did the research and did it. But happy life, or happy wife, happy life. So I was like, okay, she finds a person that she likes, then it makes our relationship happier. So good on you for identifying that, because I definitely think that women is a good target market for when it comes to home service. Cool. Laura, same question for you. What is something you're focusing on in 2026 to help with your business growth strategies? Is there something specific that you're going to be doing?
There's always something specific, but but first I want to say thank you so much for your service, Kate. I appreciate you so much. And I'm another homeschool mom. So I actually am a homeschool grandmom now. My 4 grandchildren are all being homeschooled by my daughter. So, it's a generational thing, which is beautiful. So more power to you for homeschooling. It's an amazing experience, and I'm blessed to have done it and now experiencing it from a grandparent perspective. So it's been really cool.
Really
I actually teach my grandkids science on through Zoom because they live in Pennsylvania and I'm in Florida. So we have fun. I do science lessons through Zoom, and I get to
Goals. I love
participate,
that.
which is fun. Yeah, really cool.
Yeah.
So thank you for your service, and I appreciate what you're doing, raising your amazing kids. So both of you, JR too. For me, 2026 is really about simplifying. And one of the things that, my home life is kind of in a transition period, and we're kind of starting to adjust. Like I said, grandparents, you want to spend as much time as possible with the grandkids. So I'm really focusing. I've kind of like let go of some things that weren't really serving me anymore, and I'm really focusing on 3 things. I love that you talked about the 3 things, Kate, because that's where I'm always at too. The first thing is building up my brand success hub, where I bring training, I bring experts, I bring people together to really dive into all the different pieces of branding, the communication side, the video side, the graphic side. We really talk branding, we dive deep. And through my podcast, I'm actually promoting the Brand Success Hub. I'm bringing people into my podcast who are then actually giving me 10-minute teachable moments to actually share with my Brand Success Hub community. So it's giving them more resources, giving them more, and giving my guests more exposure to my community. I love what you're doing here, JR, with, the exchange of community is always so amazing, and giving people access to all the people that So for me, it's really building the Brand Success Hub, getting the podcast, really exposing more people to the podcast, really building the podcast in 2026. And I'm actually working on a book right now with a friend of mine who is somebody who actually invited me to be on a podcast a while ago. And he has a veterans organization that he supports. And we're writing a book from two perspectives. One is from the veterans perspective, and one is from a non-veteran, obviously. And we're talking about how to transition from military life into civilian life. And so I'm giving the perspective on how to, position yourself well, whether you're deciding whether you want to go into professional life, whether you want to be an entrepreneur. And so we're giving the two different perspectives, which is really fun because he does definitely has the whole, the order of military, it's the whole process. And I have a different perspective, which is really fun. So we're doing, we each chapter's his perspective and my perspective. So it's like on each chapter, we both give our perspective. So we're having fun with that right now. So that's going to be coming out in 2026. So I'm excited about that. So books are always my thing. I have a list of books that I want to be writing. I have 3 that I've self-published, 2 that I've co-authored, and now another co-authored book in the works, and I have a couple other business books in the works and a couple children's books in the works. So you don't know what I'm going to have a really full wall soon. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
Cool. Well, congratulations on the future success that you got going on. It sounds like you have a beautiful life and a game plan moving right into it. So that's really cool. Let's talk about books. Let's move on to Paul then. So Paul, tell us more about your business growth strategy since you're the author and teacher and speaker.
Yeah, well, first of all, Laura doesn't look old enough to be a grandmother, but I look old enough to be a grandfather. I have 5 grandsons, and about a year ago, I wrote a book and I interviewed my grandsons to get their young, unfiltered view of what makes an effective leader. And they commented on their teachers and coaches and parents and relatives and what have you. So it was kind of an interesting angle to hear what a 14-year-old boy thinks about what makes an effective leader. But anyway, what I'm going to be doing in 26 is 3 things. Number one, I want to get closer to understanding some of the challenges that leaders are having these days when it comes to implementing change. I know the world in AI and everything that's going on is getting more and more complex, but I want to get crystal clear in my own mind what is the big challenges that they're facing. Number 2, I want to write a few more articles. I do write a monthly article for Smart Brief on leadership, which is a great opportunity for me. It has a wide distribution, but I want to publish more articles to help promote some of my key ideas in my books. And number 3, I want to probably I speak normally at 2 or 3 conferences a year and maybe up that to 4 or 5. So that's kind of what I'm going to be doing. And of course, I'm always writing books. I'm working on one currently on leadership traits. So that's a work in progress. And yeah, so that's what I'm going to do.
Cool. Busy guy. Always got something going on.
Yeah, yeah.
I love it. Shiraz, same question for you. Tell us what are you focused on in 2026 for your business growth strategy?
A few things. Number 1 is speaking. Speaking has been growing my business consistently. I've got 1 day, 3 days, and my first in-person event that since before COVID. So things have been working so well online. I'm just like, let's just keep it online. But now I'm kind of missing the physical interaction. I've been to a few other in-person, and I'm like, I love that. So let me just get back into that this coming year. And integrated partnerships is something that's been working really well for me. So what happens there is I've actually partnered with a few different companies, and more people are sort of getting on board with this because what I do is get people unstuck. So you may be putting someone through a training program, and there's all these people in training programs like, why aren't you doing the work? Right? Why do you keep getting sick? Why do you keep getting distracted? And all of that is just internal blocks keeping them from creating success. So by partnering with these companies, their people come see me once a month. We clear that up. They get a higher completion rate. They get a higher upsell rate. The clients get bigger success. And then some of those people say, "Hey, I like what you're doing. Can I get into your programs as well?" So everyone wins. And yeah, and it's just been really good. It happened just because one coach and I were working together and thought, let's just offer this as a bonus at an event. And I'm like, this is actually a really good business model. I'm going to keep doing this.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's been great. And the last thing is, I've got my second book written and coming out early on next year, and so going to be a big deal around that. My biggest event of the year is coming up on New Year's Eve, so I'm going to promote that book during there and look for some pre-sales and just launch it and create a lot more ripple effects out there.
I love it, and I love the fact that you're doing an in-person event as well. You know, there's something about powerful about bringing people together, being able to shake hands, hug, and just the energy in the room, especially when you're the energetic magic guy to go out and do it. So have bringing people in that room is definitely powerful. Which that's exactly what I do for my strategies. Going into 2026. I plan on doing at least one, maybe two events every single month, and not every event has to be the same. You could do an event where I call an experience event, where it's just focusing on just bringing people together, but there's no education, just focus on collaboration and relationships. But then also doing workshops and summits and VIP days and maybe a vendor expo fair and things like that. And then my other strategy is doing this. It's like really focusing on doing these roundtable interviews where I get to bring people together and just kind of collaborate, give you guys an opportunity to share with your voice with other people. The cool thing about this is like two or I think it was like two or three of them ago that we did. We had two people that were on the call, never met each other, and now one lives in Arizona, one lives in Omaha, and then now I think in the first quarter they're hosting an in-person event together. And then I have another guy from the last one that I did. He met someone that lives in, I think he's in Minneapolis or Wisconsin, and then the other one's in Washington State. And the individual speaking at his event in January. And so it's cool to see how like the networking and the collaboration is coming from this experience from doing the roundtables, and it goes beyond just me, and I love just get back, foster relationships, and that's what I want to continue focusing on. I'm trying to commit to doing one a week, every single week, as long as we got the demand and people sign up and do it. So it's been good so far. I mean, I already have like the next two almost fully booked. So that's my big strategy, is just really focusing on the collaboration piece, but then also doing my in-person events and experiences to be able to build and grow. Okay, cool. Paul, I'm going to go to you first with this next one. Tell us one of your best client success stories. Where were they at when you started talking or working with them, and what did you help them achieve? And if it's your own story, feel free to share that.
Yeah. One of my books was on organizational alignment, and a CEO in Dubai read the book and liked it, and he's contacted me and said, "Would you come to Dubai and conduct a training program for all of my managers and directors?" And I said, "Sure, if you're willing to pay my flight and all that and pay me, yeah, I'm glad to." So I went to Dubai and conducted a 3-day training program. It's about 35 people in the class, and it went well. Getting over jet lag was a bit challenging, but it went well, and that probably was my biggest success story to date.
I love that. That is awesome. So
Yeah.
how did he come across your book? Did you just buy it on Amazon?
To tell you the truth, I'm not sure how he came across it, but the concept of alignment doesn't get a lot of attention. So I think maybe the title of the book caught his attention because he was concerned about the alignment in his organization. And so, yeah, I'm not sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's a huge
Yeah,
success.
no, it was great. It was a unique experience. Dubai, if you ever get the chance, go. It's an amazing place. The wealth over there is incredible. The taxis were Mercedes, for example, and the police cars were Lamborghinis, and just incredible.
Yeah, that is awesome. What was the cost for traveling out there?
The flight over was about 1,200
Well, that's not too bad.
uh, each way, and I yeah, it was about that.
Okay.
And like I say, they put me up in a great hotel. I mean, the accommodations were first class all the way, so it was really nice.
Yeah, I think I think you're inspiring me to write more books between you and Laura.
Yeah,
You know, I got one book, but you know, I think like Laura, I have like 5 or 6 more books in me that I need to get out there. It's just a matter of sitting down and taking the time to do it. So I love that.
yeah.
Katie, tell us one of your I'm sorry, Kate, not Katie. Kate, tell us one of your best client success stories.
Oh gosh. So I was thinking, because I'm in the home services space and it's a little bit different. It's a reoccurring story. So it happens relatively often. We get a call from someone and they said, "Hey, someone came out and diagnosed my system and they said I need a whole new one. It's going to cost 15 to $18,000. Can you come look at it and give me a second opinion?" And we'll go out there and we fix it for a service call fee or a relatively small
Hmm.
part. So it's a success story because I feel like that's something that's really making a difference in the community. And one of our goals is to change the perspective of contractors because a lot of companies give bad reps, and it's like an opportunity for us to show that there's people out there doing good work, but it's not one of the stories that makes me a lot of money.
Hmm.
You,
uh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
Another thing is I've also started speaking this year, and I was asked to speak at a women's conference last February, and I was telling my story about how it's very difficult when you're going through entrepreneurship and you're faced with all the challenges, and you get those spells of doubt, and you got to get knocked down a few thousand times and keep getting back up. And it can be hard when it comes to feeling like a good mother and raising your children and finding time for your family, and even when it comes to marriage and being a spouse. And I was kind of just telling my story, and I'm just a girl from a small town, and I didn't really feel like I necessarily had a space up on that stage. I didn't, but by the end of it, I had women coming up to me and telling me about how I made a big difference and they felt heard and they had gone through so much, but they hadn't talked about it because some of those things aren't, we're all trained, I guess, to put on an Instagram version of our life out there on social media. So people only see the best highlights and they feel like they're the only ones getting dragged through the trenches sometimes. And it made me feel really great on a
Hmm.
personal level to realize that I can make a difference in how people view their journey.
Yeah, you know, the home service space, you know, it's hard to find good contractors with integrity. And it's funny that you mentioned that story because I just went through all that where I mentioned like us our hot water heater broke in our house and we got 4 different like quotes of people that came in and inspected it. And we had everything from, you know, in the beginning it was like 3 or 4 thousand dollars to $15,000. Like one guy wanted to rip apart our entire wall, saying that, well, to be in code, you got to change your whole HVAC and making sure it's to code and stuff like that. So, since you got a gas heater and stuff, the only way to do that is I got to rip apart these walls so we can go in there. I go, you're not ripping apart anything. Are you going to replace that? And then Victor's like, well, no, you got to hire a contractor to do that. I was like, no, you're not going to do that. And I end up finding someone that, because I looked at the pricing, like I was like, okay, for all the parts, it was only going to cost about $600 or $700 for what it like. I matched everything. It was like $700, and so I called someone else that was referred, and I said, "Look, I'll pay you $1,000 for parts and $1,000 for labor." And he said, "Deal," and it came. So it's hard finding people to come out there and try to do it, especially when they want to price gouge you because they see where you live and the neighborhood and the houses and stuff. So they're like, "Oh, well, I'm going to try to get one by you guys and get as much as you can." So good on you for that. And just the other piece about you speaking, you know, just know that you do have worth and value. I mean, I loved hearing that you're leveraging social media, you're leveraging communities, you're leveraging growth. And these are things that other home service professionals don't ever think about. They don't think about podcasting and social media and communities and things like that and networking to build. They did all because they're focusing on their operations and what they do to what they're good at, and they don't know how to build and grow. So the fact that you're out there making a difference in the community is awesome. And other people need to hear that because they need to be inspired about what you're doing and saying that it is possible, especially women entrepreneurs, because there's a lot of women that won't do it. And so hearing you and having that voice is awesome. So good job. Good on you. Shiraz, tell us one of your best client success stories. I know you got many. Let's pick one.
Probably Jennifer Deep Stratton. She's a high ticket sales coach. And I started working with her 5 months into working with her. She'd made as much money in her business as she did the entire last year, and she was working fewer hours. And
What's her name?
Jennifer Deep Stratton.
There's a lady in my neighborhood named Jennifer Stratton. I don't know her middle name.
No, but that's her whole last name is Deep Stratton.
Oh, Deep Stratton. Okay, no, her name's
Yeah.
Jennifer Stratton. I was like, I
Yeah.
didn't know it was the same. All right, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
No worries.
That's awesome.
And since then, every event she's hosted has been her highest grossing event. And the last event she did doubled the previous event. So she's just been rocking it out. And the thing I love about her is when I tell her, here's what the belief is, she's like, let's just shift that. I get so many clients where they're pushing back. No, that's not what I really think. And how's that going to affect things? She's like, nope, let's move it. Let's move it. And then she just skyrockets. It's
So
amazing.
what was the biggest shift that you helped her with? Was it mainly just changing her, helping her find her worth and belief in what she does?
It was actually being the bottleneck. She thought she had to be present for everything
Mm,
and getting her to understand that people just want to be around her, but they don't need like they want access to her without her actually being in the room. Allowed her to just let her team do a lot more work. And so now if she shows up, it's not because she has to be there, it's surprise and delight.
that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. Congratulations. That's awesome. That's a big success story. Laura, tell us one of your best client success stories.
So I have a couple, and I couldn't figure out which one I wanted to share. So I'm actually going to share one from a gentleman who had been working in corporate for quite some time, and he was really struggling because every time he would get approached to work with their management teams because he was really great at coaching management. But every time he would get approached to come in and do a training, he'd have to rewrite a training. He was constantly writing new proposals, giving whatever you want me to do, I'll teach. Whatever you want me to do, I'll teach. And he was reaching burnout. He was just getting frustrated. He wasn't getting traction. By the time he'd get his proposals out the door, they had moved on. And he was just really getting frustrated. So what we did is we actually took a deep dive into his business and did a reframe around understanding who his ideal client is, who he loved to work with, who lit him up, who got him excited. And he realized it was those entry level managers who not didn't they actually got promoted from within the company, but nobody actually gave them the management skills. They saw potential in them, but they never had the management skills to actually perform well.
Hmm.
When he started identifying that that's who he worked with and created programs and offers around serving that particular part of an organization, what he discovered was that number one, he was getting more opportunities, hired faster because his proposals were written. They were very clear. They were very specific. And he had he had a very specific program, like 12 different things that he could teach. And you could do it as a module. We really worked on revamping how he was approaching his potential clients. And what he found was number one, he was getting hired more often. Number two, they were bringing him in to teach entry level managers, but the executives were showing up and saying, we need you to teach this to our executive team.
Mm.
And they realized that a lot of the skills he was teaching, everyone needed, but they weren't hearing him when he was trying to tell them that to begin with. So once he got his foot in the door, and his business is thriving today. He has as much work as he can possibly handle, and he's enjoying serving the people that light him up the most. And that to me is like such a huge win to be able to encourage my clients to attract the clients they want to work with and love to work with. And sometimes it's just a matter of sitting down and really identifying who that is.
I love that. Congratulations. That's a beautiful story. I love how it trickles down and other people are noticing as well. So that's really cool. For me, one of my best client success stories is I had a client, this is probably like 5 years ago now, 6 years ago. I think it was 2019 or 2020. I can't remember which year. But her first event that I helped her with, she closed $109,000 in new contract sales from that one event. And she came to me, it was in the beginning of December, is when she joined my program and started working with her. And she already had an event scheduled for later on. It was either later that month or beginning of the year. And when I took a look at her program, one, her next steps offer was horrible. So, like, she at best, she probably would have sold about $5,000. And so, and her message didn't really align with her offer that she was even presenting. And so we had to work on several different things. The first one is I had to shift her belief and letting her know that she is worth way more than what she was even doing, because she didn't even know that people would charge or pay more for the services that she was providing. So she was stuck down here because that was what she was used to buying stuff for. So because she wasn't investing into herself, she didn't think other people would. So I kind of share with her more about the market pricing for what she was doing, and she boosted her prices. You know, I think it was probably like $10,000 or $12,000 for her offer itself. And so we had to shift her belief. Then we had to change her messaging so that it aligned with the offer that she was even presenting. And then we had to change her entire offer. And with that, that was the biggest sale that she's ever done in her life, especially from one event at $109,000. So it was a big win. I have a lot of other wins and clients. You know, I had one client that sold $30,000 with one person that showed up to his event. I had people that closed 12,000 is usually the magic number with a lot of my clients. You know, with getting 10, 20 people in the room. But, you know, I have people that fluctuate in between, you know, that $100,000 and that $12,000. And it's just really cool seeing businesses and change and, you know, grow from doing the one days events and being able to leverage that. So love that story. I've been telling it for a long time, and it definitely inspires me for what I'm doing. The next thing is just like, how can people connect with you guys? So for me, you know, for someone to get started with me and kind of want to know, like, how can they connect with me, get to know, I like to give my free giveaway. It's my one day events conversion blueprint. Just go to the1dayevents.com. That's the1dayevents.com. Download my one day events conversion blueprint, and that'll give you some steps that you can get started for thinking about or considering what type of event you want to do, and then what some things you can do to help convert it so that way you can make more sales. Katie, what's the best way someone can connect with you? Oh, you're muted.
Thank you. I'm a simple girl, so I'm just trying to connect with people on LinkedIn. That from there they can branch off to all of the resources that we offer.
Cool. Is it by your business name or just your name, the Kate Prieto?
Both. My business name is Familia Heat and Air, but my personal page has its own as well.
Very cool. Thank you. Shiraz, where's the best place for people to connect with you?
Go to energeticmagic.com. It's my main website. At the bottom of it, you've got all my social media links. And about halfway down the page, there's a free event I do every month called the Coach's Money Mindset Reset. You can sign up for that and have your mindset reset in about 90 minutes.
Love that. Paul, what's the best way for someone to connect with you?
The best way would be LinkedIn. I try to post there at least two to three times a week on something on leadership, but that's probably the best way.
Love that. And Laura.
So for me, it's 30secondsuccess.com. It's the easiest way to connect with me. There's lots of resources on there. My blog is there, information about my podcast. You'll find everything you need to know about 30secondsuccess.com. And I'm also on LinkedIn, and everything, you will find me branded everywhere as 30 Second Success. So it's easy to find me.
Love that. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for jumping on this call today. And for everyone out there listening, I want to encourage you guys to connect with all of us, get to know us, reach out. And if there was something that you found helpful or you want to know more, make sure you message us directly. So until then, Simplify.